Okay, let's take a look at another example that gives us a little bit different information. So this one, it says to find the formula for S sub n, um, the sum of the first n terms of the series, and our series is 9 minus 3 plus 1 minus 1/3 plus et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in this problem, it is identified that u sub 1, we can identify that that is 9. And then we can find our R value because we know that those terms are consecutive. So our second term is -3 over our first term is 9, which has to also be the same as the third term over the second term, etc. So then that means our R is -1/3. Um, so because our R is negative, we have to use that second formula. So our formula is going to be S sub n equals u sub 1 times 1 minus R raised to the n all over 1 minus r. And so if we plug our values in, we have 9 times 1 minus -1/3 to the n all over 1 minus -1/3. And then I'm going to come over here. If we simplify that, we end up with 27 over 4 times 1 minus -1/3 to the n. So our formula is that right there. Now what I ended up doing is I knew that this was 1 minus a -1/3 is really going to be 1 and 1/3, which is 4/3. And then I took care of this 9. So when I think about 9 divided by 4/3, I multiply by the reciprocal, and that is where that 27 over 4 came from. So that is your formula. That's all it asked us to find, and so we are done with that problem. Now let's take a look at one that we can use our graphing calculator for. So I give you the first term is 5, so I know u sub 1. I know my r is 2, and I know that the sum is 635, but I need to find what n is. I don't know how many I added together. I just know when I added together, I get 635. So if we label this, we have u sub 1 is 5, r is 2, and s sub n is 635. That's the information I give you. So if we plug that in to our formula, since r is positive, we're going to use the first one. We're going to have 635 is equal to 5 times 2 raised to the n minus 1 all over r minus 1, which is 2 minus 1. So that's just 1. So we really have 635 is equal to 5 times 2n minus 1. And what we can do with that, on your graphing calculator, you have a button at the very top that says y equals, like it looks like that. If you go to your y equals button and type this equation into your y equals, so you will have into that y1. So it'll say y1 equals 5, open your parenthesis, 2 raised to the x minus 1. Make sure that minus 1 is not up in the power, and then close your parenthesis. And then what you can do is you can hit the second, go second, and then hit the graph button, which is on the top left or top right corner, excuse me, second graph. And that's going to give you a table of values. And what you want to do is you want to look at that table of values, and it's going to give you a table. You have your X and then your Y. And in the Y category, you want to find this 635. And when you scroll and look for 635, you will notice that at x equal to 7, it gives you 635. So your answer is n is 7. So that means that s sub 7 must be 635. And that would be our answer. So n equals 7. So that is geometric series.